What up? One more hour. I don't even know, like, if I can call it one more hour, because I was still kind of loaded this time last year. But I'm not going to get down to semantics with it. What I'm going to say is, when I wake up, you know, that day was such a fog to me. I don't know if, I'm pretty sure that was the day, like, I had my like right now, this time last year, I was packing all my stuff and got into a big fight with Amanda. And, I really thought I was going into Rainier Springs. I was dead set on it. I had no idea to do any research, nothing. I just was packing my stuff, and I had my trunk packed, and I was cleaning the kids' bedroom, or I was cleaning the master bedroom, and it's crazy I could just live there for a minute. And then tomorrow I'd be driving there, and I told myself, you know, I wasn't gonna get loaded on the way up. There was nothing gonna stop me from, you know, like, making it to that treatment center. I remember getting into a big fight on the way there. I won't go into detail. And I put on the way up, I put on Pastor Stephen Furtick. All I had left was like maybe like less than $100, and it was enough gas to get there, some cigarettes, and enough gas for her to get back. And I had Stephen Furtick on, and then my dad called, and I could hear him and, you know, Kathy in the background, and he was supporting me as best as he could, you know, like, my dad wasn't an addict. He didn't drink, he didn't gamble, he didn't smoke. Shit, man, he didn't even drink coffee. He'd have a Corona, like, every couple of years. And for Thanksgiving, he would get white Zinfandel. And he never got buzzed. It was just, you know, Thanksgiving dinner. My mom, she didn't drink either. She liked to gamble. Well, she liked to play bingo, but she liked to gamble. You know, I'd go to Vegas trips and stuff. But I'd already had my talk with Shayna and Andrew. Shayna walked with me around the block a couple times. You know, we talked about, like, my plan and all of that. had no idea what was going to happen next. But I knew that, like, I was ready. And then I get to Rainier Springs, and they tell me that they're a detox center, and they don't deal with my problem. They deal with like opiates and stuff. And I was so defeated. At that moment, I thought I would never get into a treatment center. I thought, this is it. I'm gonna lose my job and I won't be able to get my rent paid or any of the bills paid. And I was coming back, and I was listening to the new Eminem album, and like every song that I listened to on the way back, I thought, I felt like it was an album made about me. That's where I was at. And I knew that, like, I knew at that moment that there was no way I could use again, or I'd never get into a treatment center. And then I got the call, and I came home, and some dude was chilling, waiting, and he offered it to me, and I said no. All those times I wanted, and I said no. And then I got the call, and I knew, because in my heart I was done. And they said, hey, we'll have a bed here in 4 or 5 days. And I held it together, checked in, and here I am. 364 days and like 40 minutes till I'll hit that date. And this is the last video of 11 months and anything. And it's been what a ride. I'll do another video tomorrow. I may do a couple more, but I have a feeling tomorrow is going to be the really official last video of this series. And I'm going to miss doing these. I'll do videos here and there because I want my recovery to be displayed, but it won't be like this. I'll get back onto my step work and focus in hard on that, and I'll post the things that I do. I've got a thing coming up on the 20th. Mailbox will happen. But I won't say my goodbyes yet to this, because that's tomorrow. But yeah, soon I'll have accomplished what I set out to accomplish, which was record my diary for 12 months consecutively and put all my shit out there. I was asked tonight if I was excited for my 1 year. I was asked today, how come I'm not like super excited? And what I've been saying is, you know, the doves don't come out and the clouds don't part and the harps don't come out from angels playing them. That's true. But the milestone still remains the same. And the accomplishment is still there. And I thought about it. I wrote my first year. So I wrote a book. And now I've done this like 12-month documentary. I wrote a book and I made a movie on how to get there. And I'm really proud of myself for that. It's cool how it all worked out. And I'll continue my journey. But if anybody's watching this, I get a couple views here and there. Just know that, like, you don't have to do this. You don't have to go to the gym like I do. You don't have to get baptized or go to church. But the meetings, the home group, the step work, getting a sponsor and sharing about your stuff really is the key for me. And it's what everybody that I know that has time under their belt, they do. And I've shared a lot of the mess and I share a lot of the message. But having a connection to something out there that you can lean on and say, hey, I need your help here, really is beneficial. It really is. My higher power for a long time was either myself or my drugs or the alcohol. And when I took away all of that, I was left with, what do I turn to? And that has been the key for me on, you know, aside from the drugs, on like life. It's been the key for me. When things got real hairy, I was able to pray. When a friend of mine went back out and I was crying and I didn't know how to feel, and I looked up and I prayed and I said, I just don't want that to be the last time I see this person. My higher power gave me this wonderful dream, and we were laughing and we were clean and we were joking, and that was the last time I got to see that person. And that's kind of how it works for me. My higher power will deliver through me, for me. And when I walked into that hospital, my higher power delivered for me. And when I wasn't sure how I was going to pay a bill, a thought came into my head. My higher power delivered for me. Though that's been the, like, if somebody were to say the one key element for you, what's it been? It's been my connection to God. It's been my connection to my higher power. And then going out on these adventures and connecting with what other people call their higher powers has given me this connection to nature, to earth, to all of it, spiritual. And so it also, being open to that, gives me the ability to connect to my mom, and talk to her and know that, like I was talking to somebody earlier today about how it's like there's this well and there's this water and it's like a TV, and she can see me through it. It's like she's watching, and when I do something that I, you know, accomplish something, she looks over at, you know, whoever and says, that's my son. And then when I'm like really stressed, she goes into it and then she comes as a bird. I love hummingbirds, and there was something I talked to somebody about today. They said, why a hummingbird? Because they liked hummingbirds. And I have another friend that is into hummingbirds, a couple of them. And there was a time when I was living at the top of this hill in Olympia. And if you've ever gotten loaded to the point where you just did it against your will and you just sat there like a zombie and you were staring and you like hated yourself and you were just like in your head, just like, you're a fucking piece of shit and you're never going to stop and you just can't, you know, if you can relate with that. I was doing that and I was just staring into nothing and I was crying, and I felt something touching my ear. It wasn't like a feeling on my ear, just something flashing at, like, it was like I could hear it, and I turned my head, and there was a hummingbird, and it just stayed right there. Usually they don't get that close, but it just stayed right there. And then it was like my mom was like, "You're not, it's okay, son." And I heard that in my head. And I looked and I said, "Thank you, Mom." And then it flew off. And then there was this time that like I had 90 days clean, and it was the first go. And there was this flock of birds, and you know, I thought people were talking shit and making fun of me, and I was writing, and I wrote about it. It's in my thing. And I remember looking up and saying, "Mom, I don't know if I can do this." And it looked like a fist, and then like they formed a thumbs up, and like I didn't get to take a picture of it or post it or any of that shit. It was just for me. And then this time that I was in treatment, and like this dude was getting all crazy, and I tried to be helpful, and he looked at me and he said, "Did I ask for your fucking help? Shut the fuck up." And I wanted to fucking strangle this dude who's a good friend of mine now. And I wrote in my book, instead of like, I wrote, "Mom, I just want to fucking choke him out." And then I remember this bird getting on this, you know, electric wire or telephone line or whatever you want to call it, power line. And while he was like still going into his rant, it just started squawking. And he looked up at it, and he said, "Shut the fuck up." And I just thought, that's my mom. And so like being connected spiritually to being available, open-minded, recovery has given me that ability. And I wouldn't have that if it wasn't for the mess. And so here I sit, real close, about a half an hour till I have, you know, the official 29th, 8/29. You know, our clean date picks us. We don't pick it. I tried to pick it. It was going to be January 1st, 2023. And then it was going to be January 1st, 2024. Actually, January is when I got my relapse of 2023. So January 1st, 2024, I told myself, yep, new calendar date, 24, you get 24 hours in a day. That's going to be my day. I made it 6 days, and then I got loaded on the weekend. And then I was like, well, okay, I'll join IOP. So in February, I decided to enroll into IOP. I thought maybe if I do IOP, that'll work. So I rolled into IOP. I lied in my assessment and said I'd only used a couple times, and I felt like I needed it. Told my work I needed IOP. And then I fessed up about that. Said I had a couple of slip-ups and I needed to do with that. I thought I could control that too. And then I made it about 2 weeks until I relapsed, and then shared about that in IOP. And then IOP went on for a year until I went into treatment. I couldn't pick a date. It had to happen the way it did. And then all of these things happened, like, you know, the 15 days, and it was 9/14/2024. All of that. And 8/29. So 8/28, Romans 8/28. All things come together for the greater good through God. That's all good and all bad things. My clean date is 8/29. A day later. All those things had to happen, and then the next day, I'm clean. 29 days after my mom died, or 29 days after my birthday, my mom dies. Hopefully, my higher power willing, I do this good enough. This remains to be the date. And so far, it's been the right date for me. And so it can happen, but you have to let it happen. You have to work at it little by little. And you find your recovery. If it becomes playing music while you're doing your thing, then great. But you find your way, which is your way. And you do the things that's suggested. And you be open-minded to the suggestions. And you surrender. The key is surrender. When you finally surrender in here and in here. And then you turn over and you beg. That humbly ask for help was the key for me. It's what got me clean. And then my recovery and going full blast at it is what keeps me clean. You have what it takes. I've given it my all, and I got myself 12 months. Give it your all. And your all may not be the all of somebody else. It doesn't have to be. Don't try to do somebody else's recovery. That doesn't work. Just do the basics and find your footing. And I promise you, you'll be able to look in the mirror again. I promise you, you'll be able to walk around public and make eye contact with people. I promise you, the TV shows and the radio and all of that won't sound like they're talking about you. And I promise you, you'll find a purpose. Because once we find a purpose, drugs don't sound good anymore, and neither does alcohol. But what ends up happening is like we lose purpose, and then life doesn't sound good, and the music doesn't sound good, and the food doesn't taste good, and the TV shows aren't good anymore, and nothing seems good. And the only thing that seems good is the one thing that makes us hate each other, makes us hate ourselves. It's the one thing that we know is going to fucking destroy us. And we go back to it because it's the only thing that feels good for a short period of time. And it's the one thing that we sit and live with shame and guilt for, no matter what's entirety it is. But I will say this, no matter what you've done, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. All you've done is built a story that you can share and help somebody. Because at this point, you're now one of us. And if you're one of us, like me, we keep what we have by giving it away. And we've set that destiny of being of service to help others through our story. So no matter how bad you feel it's gotten, you have a story to share. And maybe it's your time now to pick yourself up and then be able to also pick somebody else up. You got this. I got this. We got this. Thank you for watching these, whoever's watching these. Maybe you've only watched a few minutes, or maybe you've watched all 20 minutes, or however long I do these. I appreciate it. But more importantly, I hope it's helping a little bit. Even if it's just a little bit. I don't need to know. Don't comment. I don't need any notoriety for this. If it does something to help you, then I'm doing what I set out to do with this. Because really, it's just me getting it out. And hopefully that gives somebody the motivation to do the same.